Hello everyone, welcome to the first video in this new Python OOP series. In this series, we are going to properly learn object-oriented programming in Python. Now, in this very first video, we'll understand what classes, objects, and methods are. We will also go through what self actually means in Python object-oriented programming. Now, object-oriented programming is one of the most important concepts in Python because it helps us organize and structure code cleanly as applications grow larger. And in Python, many major libraries and frameworks use OOP extensively. So before moving on to more advanced concepts later in the series, we first need to build a base, a strong foundation. As software becomes more complex, managing code becomes increasingly difficult. OOP helps solve this problem by organizing logic into reusable and structured components. Frameworks like Django and FastAPI use OOP extensively. Machine learning libraries, too, like PyTorch, TensorFlow, also heavily rely on classes and objects internally. And large applications used in production-grade software use OOP because it improves readability, maintainability, and scalability. So what is OOP really? The easiest way to understand OOP is through the blueprint analogy. A class is like a blueprint. For example, a blueprint for a house defines its structure, its layout, and what it contains. The number of doors, the number of windows, the number of rooms. But the actual house built from that blueprint is the object. So, a class defines the structure and an object is the real instance created from it. Now let's move on to the Python code and build our first class. Now, we shall be implementing the simplest possible Python class. So we go class, user, and we go pass. The class keyword basically tells Python that we are defining a new custom type. User is simply the name of our class, and pass is a placeholder because the class is currently empty. At this point, user becomes a new data type created by us. Just like Python has built-in types such as integer and string, we can also create our own custom types. Now we'll try and make this class a little useful. So we will start by defining an init function, which is a dunder method, which we shall be looking at later on the series. We pass self and name as arguments, and self.name is equals to name. Now here, this init method is called a constructor. It runs automatically whenever a new object is created. Its purpose is to initialize the object's data. Now, this part is where beginners actually get confused. Self refers to the current object being created. So when we write self.name, we are attaching the name directly to that specific object. Every object created from this class will store its own independent data. Now, let's create actual objects from this blueprint. So for our first user, we go user1 is equals to user Dave. And for our user2, we go user Priya. So Dave and Priya are our two users. So if we run, these two users are created. Now if we print these two names, user1.name and print user2.name, we shall get Dave and Priya. Even though both our objects come from the same class, they store completely independent data. This is one of the biggest advantages of object-oriented programming. We define the structure once and create multiple independent objects from it. Now, so far, our objects only store data. Now we'll try and give it some behavior. Now, first we shall be implementing the greet method. So we pass self again and we go print hello and self.name. Now let's try and implement another method, diff introduce self, and let's return a string instead, f I am, and then we go self.name. Now methods are simply functions defined inside a class, so they define what an object can do. Notice that every method takes self as its first parameter. That's because methods need access to the object's own data and attributes. Now let's try and call these methods. So I'll comment these out. So we have Dave and Priya. Now, when we go user1.greet, we go hello Dev. Now, when we go user2.greet, we go hello Priya. Now, when we call introduce, the introduce method returns a string with im self.name. Now, Python automatically passes user1 as self. So inside the method, self.name becomes Dave. Each object calls methods using its own internal data. Now let's quickly recap the key concepts from this video. A class is the blueprint. An object is an instance created from that blueprint. Attributes store data on the object. In our example, name was an attribute. Methods define behavior, and self refers to the current object itself. These concepts form the foundation of object-oriented programming in Python. Now, in the next video, we'll explore class attributes and instant attributes and understand the difference between shared data and object-specific data. As this series progresses, you'll gradually build a much deeper understanding of object-oriented programming in Python. If you found this video useful, consider subscribing for more Python and software engineering content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.